Yo, what's going on? This is Truth Talk episode 3. And I want to obviously discuss today, just discussing the importance of this year's Premier League title race. I'm surprised that there hasn't actually been a little bit more emphasis on how important exactly why. There's so many different reasons why this particular Premier League title feels more important than most. It normally gets said at the start of the season, and you say, oh, well, it got said last season before. But for some reason, there feels like a heavier weight on this particular season. I'll explain why. So I think personally, this is the most important title race, probably post Sir Alex Ferguson, because not only due to the fact that it's in a pandemic, but I think that this is going to tell us a lot about certain teams. I think it's been a lot easier the last couple of seasons. It's Man City, who are always favourites. They were favourites last season, or Liverpool. The season, like last season, was Man City or Liverpool. We knew it was going to go there. The season before, we knew that it was pretty much going to go to Man City. Liverpool showed everyone how good they was, and they ended up winning the Champions League anyway. But this season, like, it gets me excited because I'm looking at it, and there's so many reasons why there's so many reasons why some of these teams, if they lose the league, it's massive. If they win the league, it blows right up. So I'll explain what I mean. So we'll start with the favourites and the title winners of last year. So we're talking Liverpool and why it's important for them to win the league. But just the fact that Liverpool have literally got no defence, and they've got their best centre back who's out for the season, and their second centre back who's out for nearly the whole of the season apparently as well. I think if you're Liverpool now and you win the league title, for me, the reason why it's so important is if Liverpool win this particular league title, I still have them as favourites. I believe that they will dominate to a level that we've only seen since Manchester United. And there's reasons behind it. So before Liverpool signed Virgil van Dijk, they needed a Virgil van Dijk to take him to the next level. But Klopp's got him to such a level now where it's just forget about the Villa result. Forget about the Villa result. Van Dijk was playing then. Liverpool right now are a very difficult team to beat in general. Not only are they a top team, they're very difficult to beat. You know that you have to be in the game to beat them. So for me, it's so important. If they was to win the league now, for me, it's like curtains for the next few seasons, because they would have literally proven something that it wasn't just all about Van Dijk, even though it pretty much was. I just think that the mentality's changed to another level. Like, I talk about Manchester United a lot. Obviously, I support Manchester United, and I remember when Vidic has been out injured. I remember when Ferdinand had been out injured. Then you'll see O'Shea at the back. Then you'll see Johnny Evans at the back. And we still won league titles through that, but we wasn't as dominant. As soon as Ferdinand started to pick up his, as soon as Rio started to pick up his injuries, we just wasn't as dominant. If Liverpool, and what I've been hearing is that they're not looking to get another defender in January. We'll see how that all works out or whatever. But if Liverpool were to win this particular league, I do think it sends out like one of the biggest statements of potential domination, because then I can talk about the team that, again, are going to be extremely dangerous, but have kind of fallen on the wayside, and that's Man City. So with Man City, the difference between Man City and Liverpool is Man City, there's a way to play against Man City, and if it doesn't work, yes, they might win. Don't get it twisted, but there is a way to play against Liverpool, to play against Man City. This is the thing. So there's a way to play against Man City, but again, the reason why it's so important, because if Man City were to win the league, then all of a sudden now it could then topple over onto Man City's dominance, the confidence, the money spent in the summer that they'll start spending in the summer. They'll look to maybe potentially replace Aguero because he's getting a lot of injuries. They might just go all out. Talking about signing Messi last summer. He's going to be free this year. and Jack Grealish. So you never know, if Man City was to win the league, he could just literally go off. Do you know what I mean? But it's not just those two teams, and this is why this league is so intriguing this particular season. I think it's overhyped a lot of the time for thinking that we're not the same as the Scottish League or whatever, which we're definitely not. But a lot of the time, there is normally just a couple of teams that are going to win the league. Let's be honest, and you can kind of tell. But with this particular season, what I see with like Spurs, and I can move on to Spurs. What I see with Leicester, there's a few other teams that could actually spoil the party, and I think we're going to see quite a lot more. We're going to see quite a lot more. I think Liverpool have got Leicester, and Man City have got Spurs. Spurs are a real interesting outfit, because when you've got Jose Mourinho at a club where they're desperate to win silverware, so they will follow everything that he's saying. There's no definitive way. There's no definitive way of how Spurs need to play. So it's not like Real Madrid. The Real Madrid fans had enough of Jose. The United fans had enough at the time, or whatever. There was so much pressure to bring through youth and this and that. He's at Spurs now. He's shrewdly brought some players. So he's shrewdly got Gareth Bale. He's got somebody that can actually replace Harry Kane when he normally gets his injury. He's playing probably for England tomorrow, whatever day it is as well. So we'll have an injury picked up as well. So they've got a player to replace that. They've got two good I wouldn't say good, but they've got two solid fullbacks on each side. Do you know what I mean? I don't really rate Davies, but he's the understudy to Reguilon. And the midfield, at the end of the day, you've got an England midfielder who's on the bench. You've got an Argentine international who's been on the bench. So for me, I'm looking at Spurs and I'm thinking, with a fit Harry Kane, but with Son being, for me, one of the best wide players in Europe, slowly but surely, and they've got a World Cup winner in goal, by the way, slowly but surely the mentality's there. And again, I'll go on to Joe Hart as well. Joe Hart's there. So it's just that sort of mentality who's won it before. You've got a manager who's won the title before, who he will tell his team, just like it was from against West Ham. As soon as that West Ham match happened, I can guarantee when they go 1 goal up or they go 2 goals up, they will shut up shop. He's done the same with Chelsea. I remember Chelsea drew a game 3-3 in his last title win. You're playing some really good football. It was like Jose's allowed him. He's let the leashes off, but then all of a sudden they drew 1 game 3-3, and then after Christmas, I remember we played them, and I think the beat us 1-0. But literally, we just out footballed them. But they caught us on 1 counter attack, and that was Jose. It was just 1-0s, holding on to everything because he smelt a title. And if Leicester, again, Brendan Rodgers, he's got close before. I think mentally as well, after last season missing out on Champions League, I think mentally he'll be getting into the players as well. If these guys can't smell blood with Liverpool, then there's something wrong, because for me, they won't get any other better time right now. Because from what I saw last season with Liverpool and signing Thiago, and we've already seen what Diogo Jota's been doing as soon as he's gone there. He's just settled in straight away. You're looking at a team that you're looking at where they're going to lose. Do you know what I mean? But when you lose someone like Virgil van Dijk, when you lose Gomez, when you've lost Thiago for a lot of the for most of the season so far, I look at them and you've lost and they've lost Fabinho as well. And I look at them and I think, but they're still just so hard to beat. They've gone behind against West Ham. They've gone behind against Sheffield United. They're just so hard to beat. So isn't it strange that the Premier League season, Liverpool have lost their 2 starting first choice centre backs, and I'm still thinking they should pretty much win the league. I expect them to win the league. That to me is crazy. That to me is domination, potential of domination. And I think that this particular league, this season, is gonna tell us a lot for the coming seasons. Like I said, Liverpool moving into the new training ground and everything just seems like it's on the up. And there's an atmosphere there. There's a never say die attitude that just reminds me of me growing up being a United fan, knowing that games weren't over, knowing we go 1 goal down. Like if I watch United now and we go 1-0, go 1-0 down. I know that we came back against Everton, but when we go 1-0 down, I'm literally dejected because I know this is going to be a struggle right now. Do you know what I mean? And that's when I can like start talking about I was going to say the 2 wild cards, but I've left Chelsea out. But let's just talk about Chelsea because Chelsea are a funny team. Chelsea, they've got a manager where we can look to his experience, but there's something about Frank Lampard's winning mentality and the confidence he has, and you can just see that there's an aura with him around the Chelsea players. Again, can you really count out Chelsea? You know, Thiago Silva is over there, all this and that, but he started to play well. He's always been a world-class defender. Do you know what I mean? They signed a top-class left-back in Chilwell. Reece James, for me, has been the best right-back in the league so far this season. They've improved the strike force. They've improved the attacking midfield. And they've improved the goalkeeper. And they've started to keep clean sheets. So for me, Chelsea, I say wild card, but again, that mentality from Lampard about winning things, you can kind of tell the way that he was kind of aggressive towards Klopp. He weren't having the whole allowing Liverpool just to dominate things. So they're one to watch. They are definitely one to watch. They're a team that could probably go on a little bit of a run as well. So you've got to watch out for them as a wild card. And then the biggest wild card is then my own team is then Manchester United. We are one of the biggest wild cards because literally, we are potentially one manager away from doing something this season. When we're talking about squads, our squad isn't actually that bad. It's a very expensively assembled squad, but not only that, it's actually a good squad. If you look in the positions in midfield, we've packed in midfield. We've got good defenders, and we've got a good attack. So, are we a wildcard? Because this is the thing with someone like Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He is somebody that appears that he plays in little phases. So, would you be surprised if all of a sudden he wins the next 5 games, and everyone forgets about what happened at the start of the season, or getting knocked out of 3 semi-finals last season? And all of a sudden, we're talking about Manchester United being in some sort of race because, believe it or not, like it's Aston Villa that could potentially go top with their game in hand, but that game in hand's with us as well. So there's so many different sorts of reasons why this league is so huge this particular season. It's huge for Liverpool because I do believe that this could be domination. They've got the right manager who's hungry. The players are hungry. What they lack, some of them in ability, they make up with heart, and that just makes them better than some players that we think are a lot more talented than others. Then we look at Man City and we think, well, if they was to pull this off, they were the team at the start of the season that people were talking about, but again, not now. We can see the usual frailties. If they was to win it now, it's huge. Spurs, Jose Mourinho, he's done it again. Everyone will be talking about the greatest manager ever potentially. If you win something with Spurs like the Premier League, that would be absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. Leicester to win a 2nd Premier League title, to win 1 more Premier League title than Liverpool. Like, can no one feel what I'm feeling at the moment? I want to know what you guys think. Like, this season has got so many narratives that it could run with that it's actually quite exciting that everything's kind of bunched in. And with no fans at the moment, I mean, I did hear today that they might potentially start to slowly bring fans in. With no fans in, and with the 5 substitutions that could potentially be brought in because they're bringing it in, it's been voted in the Championship. This season is going to be crazy. Like, literally, like, I think Liverpool are going to win it, but you would think losing your best two centre backs, it's going to start to catch up on you. So, like, yeah, it's proper interesting. I want to know what people think, because for me, I look at this Premier League and I think the way that United dominated, I never thought that like I'd see the likes of that again. And Man City were close to doing it, but they've just kind of been superseded again, like with Liverpool. And if you watch the last game, Liverpool City, I always felt Liverpool seemed stronger. It seemed like Liverpool let themselves down in attack, like with the final ball, but it seemed as though even without Van Dijk, they seemed the more defensively sound and seemed more dangerous on the break. I know that Man City had the penalty, but with Man City, I don't know what it is, but I just see not the same energy, and I just see that there's so many teams that have their kryptonite. Do you know what I mean? So we can talk about some other teams. So we can go into Everton. So they've lost 3 on the bounce. Just lost to us actually in the last game, and they started off so well as well. So it's kind of like this with them as well. Like one of the big managers, 1 or 2, or maybe even 3, might not be in the job next season. And for how great Ancelotti is, losing 3 on the bounce, if it then becomes 4, then becomes 5, what are we then talking about? Like, what's the objective of Everton? That'll be quite interesting to know what Everton fans think. Like, what's the objective for Everton for this season? Like, what do you think the objective is? If it's to get into Europe, or is it to chase the top 4? Because you never know with Everton, they're quite ambitious. So, like, I would have thought it would have been to chase the top 4. Like, what's Wolves' objective? So there's all these teams that have got these sort of these sort of narratives, but there's going to be so many that miss out. So there's going to be sackings, and if things start to go bad, I think the most secure managers right now, for me, obviously Klopp, obviously Pep, obviously Jose, and obviously Brendan Rodgers. Like fully backed and fully trusted. Lampard is more of an emotional thing, because if Chelsea stop producing out of nowhere, he'll be in trouble, because Roman Abramovich is the owner. But I think he'll have a lot more patience with Frank Lampard. But I don't think it's as secure as the other jobs that I've just mentioned. We all know that Ole is a result away from from Poch coming in. Arteta, I hadn't even had a chance to talk about Arsenal, even though they beat us a couple of weeks ago. Aston Villa brought them back down to earth and shut them up for a little bit. The fans were getting a little bit excited about their Tony Pulis masterclass against us at Old Trafford or whatever. But Aston Villa actually looked more powerful. They just looked better than them. They had more skill, more imagination. So, what's Arteta's objective? Is it will he potentially be sacked? Like, what if he's sitting in 10th by February? Are Arsenal going to keep? Like, is he going to stay in the job? Like, it's all very interesting this season. It is all really interesting. And like I said, there's going to be a lot of managers that are going to potentially get sacked, because everything's so close. So before you know it, owners will start to believe certain things with, what they've given, what they've invested, and if they're going to get anything back from the investment. And not everyone's going to be able to finish in Europe. Not everyone's going to be able to finish in the Champions League. So it's going to be really, really exciting. So I want to know what you guys think as well. Like, do you think like me, and can you see what I'm talking about when I'm talking about Liverpool, that there's something there where they're just very hard to beat, and these injuries you feel might galvanise them like some of the great teams of the past? Or do we think like it's now the time for Jose Mourinho, sneaky bet on Jose, sneaky bet on Leicester? Or do you just think it's either Liverpool or Man City come back and show everybody who they've been over the last few seasons and all those doubters? So yeah, I want everyone to smash a like and subscribe, and I'm on to the next one. See you later.